again, I'm thinking of it as how can I serve this client instead of how can I make myself feel less like a fraud? How can I make myself seem good enough? Once I moved out of that and instead moved into how can I serve this client the best that I can, everything changed. You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are, and that someone is going to find you out, then you've come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, business and mindset coach and imposter syndrome expert for coaches and online service providers. And you know what? Last episode, I did tell you that we're going to be doing the greatest hits from 2023 for December, but I lied. Only a little bit though, because today's episode is actually from God, I don't even know, like maybe 2020, maybe 2019, 2021. It's old, you guys. It's old. It's during a time too where I didn't have scripts. So even though those were great episodes, there's a little bit of rambling, but you know what? Rambling is good, right? So anyways, this is the actual episode from before, which is not like the other episodes in December where I am just revamping the episodes and re-recording them. This is going to be the actual audio from this podcast episode. Just keep that in mind while you listen, okay? So if I say anything stupid, that was the old Jill and I don't claim her. Anyways, I'm just dropping you this line to let you know I'm still chilling on my cruise, you guys, in the Southern Caribbean. So come say hi on Instagram at YourCoachJill. And here is how you can frickin' work with me in 2024. So firstly, we have the High Vibe Holiday Bundle, which is totally insane. It's a 90-minute mindset and business intensive with me, my stacked 30-day content challenge, the Empowered and Effortless Sales Bundle, and the content course Unfiltered and Filthy Rich. All for under $1,000, which is insane. That is at the link in my show notes if you want a fat stack of my hottest offers in 2023 and 90 minutes with me. And I am also booking private clients into 2024. This is for coaches and online service providers who are ready to create 5-figure months and 6-figure years, who want to transform their mindset and shift into the identity of a business owner who loves what they do and does it well, and who desire mentorship as they scale in 2024. We do the mindset, the subconscious mind work, and we do all things online business, your content, your offers, your messaging. And the applications for one-to-one coaching with calls and one-to-one Voxer coaching are going to be at the link in my show notes as well. Now, let's get into today's episode, which, like I said, is an old episode from God knows when, all about when you feel anxious before coaching calls and what the fuck that has to do with imposter syndrome. Enjoy! So today we are talking about that anxiety that you may have before a coaching call. Now, this can also be applied to any type of service-based entrepreneur. So let's say you're a VA and you're looking for people who may potentially need your services, or you're on Instagram or you're talking to people. I actually had an NLP breakthrough session client who was talking about how she would actually look at people and think, oh, like I already don't want to work with them. And she couldn't figure out why. And the same thing goes for when you're so fucking pumped to be a coach, or you're so excited to do the damn thing, and you start to get that anxiety or weird, I don't want to do this energy when you actually have to perform. And by perform, I mean get on coaching calls or pitch your services or whatever. This also came up for one of my clients who took like a really long needed break. So she took a break and she was so ready to go, raring to go when we started up again. But she was feeling a lot of anxiety once we started to get into, okay, now let's talk about your offers. Let's talk about like pitching and selling. Let's get into this. She was feeling a lot of anxiety again and kind of those feelings of I'm not good enough. And this anxiety is your imposter syndrome. This anxiety is you pushing your clients away or you pushing potential clients away. I don't know if you guys have ever heard my story about when somebody came to me and they were an ideal client and I referred her to somebody else. That was my own anxiety that was coming through because I didn't feel adequate enough or good enough as a coach. I was like, oh my God, like this person's gonna expect me to show up and like rock their fucking world, and I'm so nervous, I don't know what to say. And this actually followed me to when I was really heavy into my one-on-one. So I might do a podcast episode about like my story or my journey as a coach, because it really like, I basically did like a quantum leap. Like I literally made $1,000, I think in March, and now I'm making 17 to 20K a month. And it happened so fast within the span of like 4 months. I don't want to thank COVID because that would be really insensitive, but honestly, COVID has allowed me to work from home for my job. So it's honestly been like a really eye-opening experience for me, because it's been like, I am able to do this. I can make money at this. And I think there was always kind of the inkling where I wasn't sure if I could sustain it, hence why I was in my full-time job, which I still am in. But that is for purposes in terms of a mortgage and buying a house and all that jazz. Anyways, long story short, when I started to actually have a full roster of one-to-one clients, when it wasn't just one client here or whatever, when I had a full roster, I was getting this really anxious, sinky feeling before getting on my calls. And same with the NLP sessions, which I fucking love. They are always transformative. Like they're always amazing. That's also at the link in my show notes if you want to purchase one of those. But they are honestly life-changing, but I would be so nervous before them. I'd be like, oh, fuck, I don't want to do this. I'd be on the couch being like, Dustin, I don't want to do this. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. I just don't want to do it. And it was my own imposter syndrome. It was fucking Rhonda coming out of the woodwork and saying like, oh, you know, they're going to figure it out. They're going to figure out that like once you get on that call, you actually don't have anything substantial to say and you're not going to be able to perform the way you want, and they're going to be disappointed. And that's why I kind of want to talk about this topic, because I've heard it from multiple people, but you may be too ashamed to talk about it. I have had a couple clients who have told me this, and they kind of like light up when I say it. They're kind of like, oh my God, I'm not crazy. Like I actually don't hate my job. Like I actually do want to be a coach, or I do want to do this, or I do want to do that. And I'm like, yes, of course you do. This is your passion. Like this is what you want to do. The anxiety is just your imposter syndrome. The anxiety is the thoughts that are coming into your head of being like, you're not going to be good enough. And if you listen to those thoughts, you'll start taking the actions that would mean that maybe you are subconsciously pushing these clients away, or maybe you're not really focusing on the client during the call. You're focusing on how can I impress this client, and they're not going to get the same impact, and therefore you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm not good enough, and then go down the spiral. But what was really helpful for me was just doing the damn thing, was getting on the call, was resetting my energy, doing some EFT, saging the fuck out of my room, out of the office, sorry, and really focusing on like, this is for my client. This client is going to get an amazing result. Your intention behind everything is what matters. And even if you're feeling kind of like, oh, I don't want to do this, reset yourself and think to yourself, this is for the client. This client is going to get an amazing result. I am going to facilitate an amazing transformation for this client. And you can't go wrong, because when we set the intention, when we have the positive expectancy of something happening that is going to be good, that energy radiates off of you and you are going to do something amazing for your client, no matter what it is. You also can't determine what your client actually needs until you are putting all of your focus on them. If I was always thinking to myself, I'm not good enough, blah, 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 that shit is going to come through in my coaching calls. But instead, I focus on the questioning. I trust the process. I trust that whatever comes out is going to be something that the client really needs in that moment. And that's why I'm not a fan of like really regimented or like thought out programs when it comes to your coaching, if you're a coach, because you are a person that is helping somebody else in their own journey, and you don't actually know what they're going to need until you calibrate on them, until you figure out what it is that they need to be served with. And that can be anxiety inducing in itself, in terms of being like, so I'm just going to show up on the call and be like, hey, what are we going to talk about? I always have kind of a plan. I kind of like look back on my notes, stuff I want to talk about before, but it's really about holding space for your client, and that's what they're paying you for. They're paying you for the guided questions, the empowerment, the holding space. Depending on what kind of coach you are, of course, there's going to be elements of teaching and guiding with regards to like the stuff that they're doing. So if they have like really specific questions and stuff, and obviously having the knowledge to answer those. But a lot of the time, I have like mindset coaches that come to me, and they're just like, how do I know what makes me special? How do I know how I'm going to help them? And it's all in how you show up for them and how you show up with your own energy. Hey guys, I hope you're loving today's episode. I am just taking a brief pause in today's episode to share with you a client testimonial. These testimonials are either from group coaching clients or clients who are in my one-to-one coaching program. And I can't wait for you to hear how I have changed their lives and their businesses for the better.
Jill provided such a safe space for us to release some of those limiting beliefs. We did NLP, we did breath work, which let me tell you, breath work is incredible, like mind-blowing, life-changing experience. Jill is so supportive over Slack, and I totally walked away from the 12-week program just feeling more confident and really feeling like I'm worthy of being an entrepreneur and owning a business and moving forward in that. Even if I don't feel confident 100% of the time, I still feel worthy of that and can move forward.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Now let's get back to the episode. One of my clients, she is a coach for like new moms, and I was saying to her how like your energy is so like good behind like on your Instagram stories. She is so calm and cool and collected. She is embodying the type of mom that her clients want to be, and they're looking at her like, this coach makes me feel safe. This coach makes me feel like I can trust her, that she gets me. And that is the whole point. You need to embody that person who somebody is going to look at and be like, I am attracted to their energy and how they put stuff out. There are tons of people who like sit on their stories and are so monotone and so like uninterested in what they're talking about. And it's not attractive to me. Like, I want to see you excited. I want to see you really care about the information you're giving to people. I get told all the time that people are really attracted to my energy on my stories. And the fact that people are attracted to that makes me want to do that stuff more. And when it comes down to actually working with the person, and when it comes down to actually being on the call with them, I want to be in the same authentic energy as I am on my Instagram stories. And again, I'm thinking of it as, how can I serve this client, instead of how can I make myself feel less like a fraud? How can I make myself seem good enough? Once I moved out of that and instead moved into, how can I serve this client the best that I can, everything changed. Especially because it was a way for me to look past the fear and the anxiety that I was feeling and instead think about the other person, which creates an amazing result, which then has me thinking like, oh, I can really do this. I also want you to be aware that like you're going to have days where your energy is off. You're going to have days where like you feel kind of low, or that like you don't want to show up or whatever. But when you have a commitment to somebody and you make that commitment, it's kind of like working out. You're never going to regret showing up on that call and doing your best. And you are making the impact that you want to make every day just by again, focusing on that client and giving your attention and your energy to them. And that is why taking care of yourself is really important. So leaving the time for your mindset work, leaving the time for your self-love and your self-care practices, resting, taking that time for yourself will allow you to fill up your own cup so you're not feeling drained energetically when you get on the calls with clients. Because that's honestly like a really big piece of it is your energy when it comes to clients, and like being energetically available for them. It takes up a lot of your energy and your motivation when you are giving it away to other people. So something that I wanted to say, something that I learned in terms of holding onto your energy, and I'm actually coming with an energy management bundle. It's coming out soon. It's going to be super cheap, going to be super affordable. I'm really excited about it. But one of these tricks that you can do is zip yourself up before your sessions. And actually, the act of zipping yourself up is actually really cool because there's a physical component to feeling like you are contracting yourself and holding that space for yourself and closing anything up so you're not exposing your energy to other people. So you can Google it. I'm not a fucking guru when it comes to this stuff, but you can totally Google the act of zipping yourself up, and I do that before every call. I also have this course from Reese from Yes Supply through the certification, and she has a meditation where you can actually create like a protective bubble almost around you, and I do that usually too before NLP sessions and before my coaching calls. And again, there's a lot of different energetic modalities you can use to kind of protect your energy, but I think that it's really important to note that like if you feel tired, if you feel drained, if you feel like you're kind of moody or like low vibe or whatever it is, it could be because your clients are draining your energy, which isn't a bad thing. You're coaching them, you're doing all the things you should be doing as a coach. But know that if you let it get to the point where like you're not conserving your energy, you're not looking after yourself, then you're going to have more of those anxious thoughts, those I'm not good enough thoughts, because you're going to have a very low vibration. So with that being said, regarding the actual anxiety behind your client calls or being nervous about your client calls, it is just that inner imposter, that Rhonda or whoever she is for you, telling you that you're not good enough, telling you that this is going to be difficult, that you're not going to be able to say what you want to say, or you're not going to be able to get through to them, or they're going to be a difficult client. Whatever it is just your brain trying to keep you safe. It's your brain trying to tell you that whatever you say isn't good enough and this isn't going to be good and blah, blah, blah. Just your brain trying to keep you safe, because performing public speaking, you're basically public speaking all week if you have calls, like the whole time, or if you do guest speaking or whatever, that is draining your energy, and it is scary. It's putting yourself out there. It's constantly pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. We all think it's like the hardest thing in the world to get clients, when in reality, the hard part is when you actually start doing it. The hard part is when you actually have to start putting yourself out there and being like, hey, like, let's actually create this transformation that I've been talking about for the last 2 weeks during my launch. You know what I mean? So it's really important to know that you are not a fraud. You are not an imposter. You are doing your best with the information that you have right now. And that anxiety is just your brain trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you in your small bubble of let's not actually take any legitimate action towards your goals, because if you do, then you might be exposed or whatever, and that is just not going to happen. You are a real, authentic, genuine human being. You are here to change lives, and you cannot do that unless you put yourself out there and actually do the damn thing, even when sometimes you feel like you don't want to. And that's why we have amazing resources like emotional freedom techniques, like tapping, and we have energy clearing techniques and all the really amazing things that will help you reset your energy, raise your vibe, make you feel really, really good. And that's why it's so important to keep an accomplishment journal, because then you can look back on all the amazing things you've done and the lives you've changed. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all. If you guys have any more questions about getting rid of that anxiety or talking it through or whatever, you can DM me on Instagram at yourcoachjill. How was that throwback for you? I hope you loved it, and I hope you didn't judge me too harshly for that old as fuck episode. Don't forget about the High Vibe Holiday Bundle, where you can get my content course, Unfiltered and Filthy Rich. You can get the stacked 30-day content challenge, the Empowered and Effortless Sales Bundle, and a 90-minute intensive with me, all for under $1,000. You can also apply to one-to-one coaching or one-to-one Voxer coaching if you're a coach or online service provider looking to transform your mindset and your business in 2024 and hit those 5-figure months and 6-figure years. Those links are all in my show notes. I love you all, and I will see you next week. Thanks so much for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Head to the show notes to learn how you can work with me, where you can buy my best-selling book, You're Not Special, and how to get on my email list for free. Screenshot this episode and add it to your Instagram stories, tagging me at YourCoachJill. See you next time.